that kind of like 80s fame quote, starving artist. That person's a real artist when they starving for it, when they grinding for it, when they're everything for it. But that's not really fun at all. And any artist will tell you that, yes, we show up and we smile and we get the job done, but there's some anguish. There's some tears. There's some real things that we're dealing with behind the scenes.
Kayla, thank you so much for sitting down and taking the time out to chat with me on my dance series, Dance is Life. How are you?
Oh, great. Thank you for having me.
For the people who don't know, you are a dancer, you're an author. You have a book called The Broke Dancer's Guide to Success. You have a film campaign out now called It's Lit, which is about financial literacy. So just tell us a little bit more about that and why that this mission is so important to you.
Sure. So, I mean, it's lit. Apparently, this is a thing that's been a phrase since like the 70s, and we know what it means. It means it's a party, it's a time. Like, this is where everybody wants to be, this is where it's at. And for me, as an artist, and having had a career in performance, in theater, in film, I've done a little bit of everything. What I have taken away from those experiences are, yes, great memories, a portfolio to short for, but it's the business aspect that really sustains the life of an artist. And when that information wasn't provided to me, I had to go and research for myself. And that research led me to writing the book. It led me to starting a public benefit organization. And then ultimately, it led me to start to have conversation with artists and entrepreneurs, directors, and people who have been in the game for a long time to ask them these pressing questions about money. Because for some reason, money continues to be this taboo thing that we don't want to talk about when it comes to artists. We all know artists work hard. Without artistry, without creativity, there wouldn't be any marketing campaigns, there wouldn't be movies, you know, we wouldn't be able to connect with people, there wouldn't be any community or online engagement without that aspect of art. But the return, right? The return is something that's not happening. It's something that a lot of artists don't feel confident to talk about or ask questions about. So I just decided to, get some good people together and push this thing forward. So the short film is now out on YouTube. So it features 8 real stories from creatives, directors, financial experts, even some grant funders about financial education and how we can let go of the fear and the taboo talk around money and just get to it.
We talked about this earlier. For those who don't know, you had a dance career. What were some like financial burdens you felt you faced as a dancer?
Whew, paying rent. Paying rent was number one, and then the thought of even being able to have a mortgage or a house or to just afford big expenses really start to dampen my self-esteem. And as a dancer, we deal a lot with self-esteem already. You go into rooms anticipating a 50-50% chance that no matter how good you are, no matter your experience, no matter even if you recognize the people on that judge panel or board, you may get rejected. You may get sent home. And the money that you invested just to transport yourself to that place for that day may be a loss. And so, self-esteem is definitely number one. Um, and then having access to just the bare necessities that, that kind of like 80s fame quote, starving artist. That person's a real artist when they starving for it, when they grinding for it, when they're everything for it. But that's not really fun at all. And any artist will tell you that, yes, we show up and we smile and we get the job done, but there's some anguish. There's some tears. There's some real things that we're dealing with behind the scenes. Um, and then the third thing I would say is taxes. Taxes are huge. As I mentioned before, 1099, majority of performing artists, especially dancers, will end up owing the government money back. Oftentimes we don't, unless you're again with an agency or with, or you are housed with a company, you're getting a W-2, you are on a gig to gig basis, going to be looking at, needing to set aside money to pay the government back, or you're in a deficit where you're on a payment plan, or you constantly getting hassled with calls, and then that affects everything. Of course, going back to your self esteem, but then, not being able to pay money that you owe for the government, credit cards, taking out a loan, all of these things affect your credit score. And your credit score is what's going to help you navigate and advance ultimately to doing the things that you want to do. The last thing I'll say is as a dancer, you're not just a dancer. You're also a choreographer. You're also a director. You're also a producer. You're also a visionary. These things cost money. And oftentimes dancers are coming out of the pocket with their own money for passion projects, and it's discouraging. So I think I know if we had financial education and we had financial advising and we felt more confident about money, we would know how to set up the proper structure to do the things that we want to do and pursue those projects with confidence.
And you're providing these opportunities with Creative and Equal Opportunities Inc. So just tell us a little bit more about your organization.
So, Creative and Equal Opportunities Incorporated, or CEO Inc. for short, is an online information and resource platform of which you can find everything from marketing and digital tools for visionaries and creatives to financial literacy, advisors, to even how to engage your audience and your potential clients online through social media and use that to leverage so that you can get more opportunities for in grants and visibility in your campaigns. So we are sort of a hub for those things. We're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, and we're also on YouTube, which is where our newly released short film entitled It's Lit is streaming. So it's free, it's out, it's accessible, anyone can go and watch. It was very important for me to feature creatives and contributors of color because that is who our community most serves. This information is for everyone, but it's important for those who are non Black or who are not BIPOC to understand the pain points and hear it directly from people who are most affected.
So what would you like to see in the industry as far as paying creators for what they're worth?
I'm so glad you asked that question. I think overall, accountability is what it comes down to. Artists are not just creative people that are doing multiple things, like you said. They also come with years of training, experience, and authenticity that should be monetized at the value point of which it is being put out there. That's just point and blank. Whether it's an indie artist doing their thing, coming on to collab with a company or an organization, or whether it's an artist that decides to put out a program or some type of product, it needs to be monetized at its value's worth. I would also love to see programs, schools, and institutions be more honest with artists about um, the economic climate that we're in. Right now, we're seeing young people go to school to get certifications and degrees in the creative space, and that's great. But when they come out, realistically, they're not prepared to go into the industry. They're not prepared because we don't talk about salary. We don't talk about supplemental income. We don't talk about advocating for yourself or negotiating your pay rate. There isn't enough demand placed on the value that artists brings. So unfortunately, even though we put in the same amount of 50 to 100K on a college degree, whether that's your bachelor's level, master's, or doctorates, as a doctor or as a lawyer or as someone in finance, they are just barely breaking the poverty line, if I can keep it frank with you, just barely making it. And the offer does not even begin to match what persons who have chosen other careers are getting. I would also like to see more partnerships with financial institutions and nonprofit organizations that serve artists. Artists are hungry for information, and when we are fed, we will run with it, and we will run with it with passion. I would love to see a lot of these pop up payment gateways work with creative agencies to start to offer artists something that they can really work with to have a sustainable life in finance. I would love to see more free resources given to creatives and artists early on in their career so they can start to prepare to purchase a house, prepare to get a car, build up their credit. I would love to see more leniency and grace shown to artists when it comes to getting their loans forgiven. The last thing I would love to see, because you're in New York and I'm in DC. I also lived in Chicago. I lived in just about every major city you can think of, and transportation is huge. Even just the smallest things, like if you are a working artist, if you are a professional artist, maybe you get a discount on your your travel fare. Maybe you get something, some kind of incentive. We can incentivize the work that creatives are doing, knowing that our salaries are not matched in the way that it should be.
Hopefully people watch this and they take it into consideration. Like, yeah, we do need to make sure that creatives, artists are accommodated because the work that we're doing, it matters. It's important. We need to be compensated. For all those who may want to reach out to you, where can they contact you at?
So you can find us on Facebook and Instagram with our hashtag CEOINCARTS CEO Inc. Arts. That's where you'll find us. And you can find the short film that's trending now on YouTube. And I'm pretty sure that Jasmine will leave my information. If you want to contact me directly, feel free. Send me an email. I love to hear from people, always looking for more collaborative opportunities, including screenings. We would love to screen this film and spark conversation around this and move the conversation beyond thought into action. So if you feel like you want to bring us to where you are, just let us know and we'll make it happen.